I said serve the wine, not spill it like a fool. Laughter erupted across the grand dining hall. I stood frozen, red-faced, the crystal decanter still trembling in my hands. Drops of Merlot streaked across my cousin Bailey's dress, and her screech pierced the air like nails on glass. "Oh my God, look what she did," she cried. "Why is she even here?" Before we begin, drop a comment and tell us where are you from and from which city you're watching our videos? And after watching the whole video, don't forget to tell us what would you do in this situation? Be honest, tell me in the comments below. We read every comment. Let's begin. "I told you she's hopeless," my mother murmured loud enough for everyone to hear, not even bothering to mask the disdain in her voice. "Can't hold a job, can't even serve a drink. She's 24 and still leeching off us. Somebody needs to tell her the truth." My Aunt Karen chimed in with a smirk. "It's about time." That was it. The moment they had been building up to all night. One by one, their faces turned toward me like vultures circling. My hands clenched the fabric of my dress so tightly, I thought it would tear. My father stood, tapping his glass with a spoon until the room quieted. "Everyone, thank you for coming to this family celebration," he began, giving a fake politician smile. "Before we continue dessert, there's one thing we need to handle." He turned to me. "Emily," he said, voice booming, "you failed to live up to this family's name. While everyone else contributes, you bring nothing but embarrassment. So tonight, we've arranged something that will free us of your weight." I blinked. "What?" "Your belongings are already packed," my mother said coldly. "You're going to live with someone in Pine Hollow Valley. His name's Carter Hale. You'll be staying with him from now on." "What the hell are you talking about?" I gasped, my voice shaky. "You'll be his wife," Dad said plainly. "He's agreed to take you. It's already arranged." The room was silent for a second. Then more laughter. "She's being given away like a clearance item," Bailey snorted. "You're not serious," I whispered. "You're giving me away to a villager?" "He's a farmer," Mom said, shrugging. "You won't outshine anyone there, don't worry." I looked to my brother, he didn't meet my eyes. I looked to my sister. She just kept eating. I felt my chest tighten as my world cracked. But then, a voice from behind me said calmly, "I'll take her now." I turned. There he was. Tall. Quiet. Wearing a simple brown jacket and dusty boots. Carter Hale. He looked like a nobody, his pickup was dented, and his beard was too thick. Everyone chuckled again. "Guess the village hillbilly came to collect his prize," my uncle chuckled. Carter ignored them. His eyes only rested on me. "You ready?" he asked, his voice low. Something inside me snapped. I walked over, lifted my chin, and said loud enough for the whole family to hear, "Anywhere is better than this graveyard of decaying hearts." The room fell quiet, and I left without looking back. But what no one knew, not my father, not Bailey, not the smug faces at that table, was that Carter Hale was no simple farmer. And they had just given me away to the richest man in the state. What he did next left every one of them begging. Carter's truck rattled over gravel roads like it hadn't been serviced in years, but I didn't say a word. My hands were clenched in my lap, heart still hammering from what had just happened back at that dining table. He glanced over, one hand on the wheel, the other resting lazily out the window. "You okay?" "I'm not sure what just happened," I whispered. "They gave me away. Like I was a broken dish they didn't want to clean." He didn't reply for a while. The engine hummed. The sky above was beginning to darken, dusky orange bleeding into gray. Then he said quietly, "They didn't deserve you." I turned to look at him. There was something strange in the way he spoke. He didn't pity me. He understood. The road curved up a steep hill, winding through deep green trees and past wide, empty fields. It felt like we were driving into nowhere. "So, who are you really?" I asked. "Why would you even agree to something like this?" His jaw flexed slightly. "Let's just say I know what it feels like to be thrown away." I studied him in silence. From the outside, Carter Hale looked like a man who'd been through things. Broad shoulders under an old jacket. A quiet face. A scar near his brow. There was no ring on his hand, no softness in his eyes, but still, Something about him felt strangely safe. We pulled up to a small cabin. It wasn't a mansion or even a modern house. It was wood and brick, but spotless. Strong. It looked like it had stood through storms and still didn't crumble. "This is it?" I asked.
"For tonight," he said.
"Tomorrow, I'll show you everything." I followed him inside, half expecting peeling wallpaper and a dripping faucet, but the cabin smelled like cedar and fresh bread. A fire crackled in the stone hearth. There was soft lighting, thick rugs, shelves lined with real books. "You cooked?" I asked, stunned. "Just soup," he said. "You haven't eaten, right?" That was the first moment I felt something tighten in my chest. No one, not my family, not anyone at that table, had noticed I hadn't eaten. But this stranger did. As I sipped the soup, I finally asked, "What do you do, Carter?" He looked at me with unreadable eyes. "You'll know soon enough." I couldn't sleep that night. I stared at the ceiling, heart full of grief, confusion, and a strange new flicker of something else. Was it safety? Morning came with fog rolling over the hills like smoke. Carter opened the front door and nodded. "Come." We walked past the cabin down a dirt path, and then everything changed. There, behind the trees, behind the quiet, was a long private road. A black SUV rolled in from a hidden garage entrance. Security guards stepped aside. Fountains began to rise from the grass. Flower beds arranged in perfect symmetry stretched in all directions. A massive estate.
No.
A compound. White stone walls. Wide glass windows. A helipad. A greenhouse. And in the center, a modern mansion that looked like something off a billionaire magazine cover. What is this?" I stammered. Carter pulled off his old jacket. Underneath, he was wearing a black polo embroidered with an insignia. Hale Industries. That name. I knew that name. It was the name on every hospital wing, every biotech conference, every agricultural innovation for the last decade. "I thought you were," my voice shook. He looked at me calmly. "A broken villager?"
"Yeah."
"Let them think that." My knees almost buckled. "Why did you lie to them?" "Because I wanted to see who they were when they thought I had nothing." "And what did you see?" He didn't smile. He didn't have to. I saw enough. Then he looked at me again, not with pity, not with judgment. "But you," he said. "You didn't flinch. You stood up and walked away with your dignity." I swallowed hard. "So, what now?" He stepped closer.
"Now?"
"You rebuild. You become everything they said you couldn't be." I felt tears sting the corners of my eyes. "And them?" I asked. He paused. "They'll come back," he said. "And when they do, we'll be ready." By the third day, I'd already started to understand. Carter Hale wasn't just rich. He was powerful. But what struck me most wasn't the fleet of luxury cars hidden behind the hillside barn or the way executives called him sir when he casually answered investor calls. It was how he never mentioned any of it. Not once did he try to impress me. Not once did he act superior. Instead, he asked questions about me. What I liked. What I wanted. What I'd never been allowed to do. "Paint," I said once, almost embarrassed. "I used to paint when I was younger." They laughed at it. He handed me a key the next morning to a fully stocked art studio on the second floor of the estate. "You remember everything people say," I murmured. "Only the things that matter," he replied. One morning over coffee, I looked out over the manicured hills of his estate and said quietly, "You could have had anyone. Why take in someone like me? Especially the way they gave me away." He didn't answer right away. He looked at the horizon. Then, calmly, "Because they expected me to treat you like garbage. I wanted to do the opposite." I stared at him. "Also," he added, "I know what it's like to be underestimated." Then he showed me something that made my heart stop. He pulled up footage on his tablet from the dinner. My family's house. Hidden cameras. Audio. Everything they said about me. I blinked, stunned. "How?" "I installed the cams 2 weeks before the deal," he said. "I had to know what kind of people I was dealing with."
My throat went dry.
"Why are you showing me this now?" "Because I want you to know that what they did was real. You're not crazy. You're not being dramatic. They truly betrayed you. Tears filled my eyes. They were my family. He didn't say, "I'm sorry." Instead, he did something better. He slid a folder across the table. Inside, a deed. My eyes widened. What is this? A company. It's in your name now. We'll train you to run it. It's in agriculture tech. Sustainable soil mapping, something no one in your family would understand. I gasped. Why would you? Because you're not useless, he said. And it's time they learn what real value looks like. 2 weeks later, the first call came in. From my mother.
Blocked.
Then my brother. Then my aunt. Then texts from cousins. It started with fake politeness. Hey, we miss you. Then the desperation came. Apparently, Dad's newest deal went south. Something about an over-leveraged investment gone wrong. His face was splashed across financial headlines. Their credit cards stopped working. Accounts frozen. And Hale Industries? Just acquired the entire failing property they used to flaunt. I want you to read this, Carter said, handing me the official press release. Hale Industries confirms full acquisition of Grandstone Holdings amid bankruptcy rumors. My jaw dropped. That's my father's company. Carter corrected calmly. I looked up at him. You bought them out? He just sipped his coffee. No one gives away their daughter to a man like me and expects to stay standing. I laughed through tears. For the first time in my life, I felt seen.
Heard.
Protected. But most importantly, empowered. I wasn't a family embarrassment anymore. I was the owner of what they used to control. And when my father finally called, I answered on speaker. Emily, he stammered. I know there were mistakes made. But listen, we need your help. Just a little investment to keep things afloat. You understand, right? You're one of us. I looked at Carter. He gave me one small nod. And I said, with every ounce of calm I had, I'm not one of you. Not anymore. Then I ended the call. The morning after I hung up on my father, something strange happened. They showed up. Not just a message. Not a call. They drove out, all the way to Pine Hollow Valley, and stood at the gates of Carter's estate in cheap suits and forced smiles like nothing had ever happened. Bailey was wearing sunglasses too big for her face, and acting like this was a casual brunch. Mom had brought a pie. I watched from the second-floor window, arms crossed, heart pounding. The guards hadn't let them in yet. They really thought this would work, I said. Carter stood beside me, arms folded. They think you're still the girl they sent away. The one who stayed silent when they mocked you. I turned to him. I'm not her anymore. He smiled. Then go show them. I stepped out through the tall glass doors and into the courtyard, heels clicking on the flagstone, wearing a sleek navy blue pantsuit Carter had gifted me the week before. Their jaws dropped. Bailey's pie tilted sideways in her hand. Mom recovered first, stepping forward with a fake laugh. Emily, honey, look at you, so grown up. Can we come in? You've already been in, I said flatly. In my life. In my head. That offer's expired. Dad scoffed. We're still your family. You made that clear when you handed me off like a transaction, I replied. But we were desperate. You weren't. You were cruel. Bailey huffed. We didn't know who he was, okay? That's on us. Can we just move on? Like, maybe you could loan us something for Dad's restructuring. The audacity made my chest tighten. Carter joined me at the top of the steps, his presence making them visibly nervous. Do you know how many times I watched that dinner footage? I asked softly. How many times I heard the word useless? From every single one of you. Silence. You don't just erase that with a pie, Carter added. And just so you know, the house you're living in? The one you mortgaged behind Emily's back. Dad flinched. We own that now too. You what? Mom gasped. You'll receive a relocation notice by next month, Carter continued smoothly. But you can apply for temporary residence in one of our guest quarters if Emily allows it. Their eyes shot to me. And I said what I had waited years to say.
No.
Emily, Mom whispered. We raised you. No, I repeated. You shaped me. into someone I had to break apart just to find who I really was. Bailey dropped the pie, and I turned, walking back inside with Carter, the massive doors slowly closing behind us. I didn't cry. I didn't shake. I didn't doubt. Because for once, I was the one closing the door, and they were the ones standing outside, lost. That night, Carter took me to the rooftop. The stars stretched across the sky like a map waiting to be written on. "You okay?" he asked. "I'm more than okay." He looked at me gently. "You're not angry?" I was. But now. I breathed in the cool air. "I'm free." He slipped something into my hand.
It was a key.
A different one. "What's this?"
I asked.
"Your new home. Just yours. No one else's name on the deed." Tears prickled my eyes. "You changed my life." "No," he said. "You reclaimed it. I just reminded you of what was already in you." But the story wasn't over yet, because a month later, I received an invitation from my cousin Bailey, a wedding, with a handwritten note. "You've changed, Em. I'd love for you to come and show the family what a real woman looks like. Please, forgive us." Carter raised an eyebrow. "You thinking about going?" I stared at the card. Then I smiled. "Oh, I'm going." The grand ballroom shimmered with golden chandeliers and ivory roses, but the air was thick with tension the moment I stepped through the doors. Heads turned. Gasps slipped through lips. Because I wasn't the girl they remembered, the one who dropped wine and stared at the floor, ashamed to exist.
No.
I walked in wearing a fitted emerald gown, subtle diamonds at my ears, posture tall and calm, like someone who knew who she was. And right beside me, Carter Hale, silent, unshakable. As we made our way through the crowd, my aunt whispered something to my uncle. Someone dropped a fork. My father froze mid-sip. Mom looked like she'd seen a ghost. And Bailey, the bride, her smile faltered the moment our eyes met. But I smiled first. "Emily," she said, voice tight as I approached. "You came." "You asked me to," I said softly. I didn't want to be rude. She looked down at my dress. "Well, it's quite a choice." "Elegant, right?" I said, tilting my head. "A friend of mine designs for political wives. She said it would make me look composed but unforgettable." Bailey tried to laugh. "Well, I'm the bride today, so let's not outshine you." I finished, eyes calm. "Relax, Bailey. You've done that to yourself." Before she could answer, someone from the other side of the room shouted, "Is that Carter Hale? From Hale Industries?" Cameras were already being pulled out. Guests were whispering. My presence had just changed the energy in the room, and everyone knew it. Bailey's fiancé appeared then, sweating. "Emily, I didn't know you'd be here," he mumbled. "Big fan of your foundation's clean water project. Incredible work." I smiled gently. "Thanks, Miles. You know, it's funny. Bailey once told me I'd never matter to anyone." He froze. I leaned in slightly, just loud enough for the family table to hear. But now here I am, the most Googled woman in the room. Later, during the reception, the mic was passed around for speeches. I didn't plan to speak, but Bailey's eyes kept cutting toward me, nervously checking if I would.
So, I did.
I took the mic calmly, cleared my throat,
And said,
I was told once I was a burden, that I'd never succeed, that the best I could hope for was being someone else's responsibility. Silence fell. But it turns out all I ever needed was one thing, the freedom to grow. I didn't have that in my family, but I found it in the unlikeliest place. I turned, eyes locking with Carter's. A man who saw my worth before I did, who gave me the tools to build a life, not a cage. My mother lowered her head. Bailey gripped her wineglass until her knuckles turned white. So today, I'm not here as their shame, or their scapegoat. I'm here as proof that no matter how deeply someone tries to bury you, truth rises. I handed the mic back and sat down, my hand steady. Carter reached over under the table and held mine. You didn't just get closure, he whispered. You gave them a mirror. That night, we left early. As we pulled away from the ballroom, I looked out the window one last time. The people inside were still pretending, still wearing masks. But I wasn't one of them anymore. Because the girl they gave away became the woman they couldn't afford to lose. And she never looked back again.